Finally, there is Ruth Davidson, MSP, to whom I've been speaking this morning, and she acknowledges that all the political energy of the referendum, 55 to 45 vote against independence in November, has nonetheless benefited the nationalists.
Well, I think if you look at the way the polls are now, you're still seeing the echoes of the referendum. You know, as you rightly say, the result was just under 45% for the yes side, just over 55% for the no side. The SNP have managed to lock in a lot of that 45%, and in a four-party system, 45% is enough to win you an awful lot of seats.
Come on, there's more to it than that. The SNP has now got in excess of 100,000 members, which is a huge number. I mean, nationally across the UK, and the Conservative Party and indeed the Labour Party aren't that much farther ahead than that. There is an energy in Scottish politics of which you're quite aware, which is much bigger than that 45% who voted yes for various reasons in the independence referendum. Somehow the SNP have managed to capture and distill the essence of that campaign and turn it to their advantage. Why?
I disagree with the premise of your question. If you look at every single poll that's been coming out across Scotland, the SNP are just slightly below the 45% number. So I think that the echoes of the referendum have come into this election campaign now as the primary yes force. They've absolutely been able to harness that, and as I say, you know, I make no bones about it. I think that there will be SNP gains at this election because 45% is enough to win you. Actually, to be honest, 45% is not just enough to win you most seats in Scotland. It's enough to win you most seats in other parts of the UK too. But you know, we as a party are also we're up the polls. I think because we're the most pro-union party, we took a very strong stance in the referendum. That's been to our benefit. And the parties that are suffering, Labour and the Liberal Democrats in Scotland, seem to be the party that's either embarrassed or ashamed or whatever of its record and running from its record. The Lib Dems are running from the record of government, and the Labour Party are running from the record standing with us in the referendum.
You seem to be accepting there the level that the SNP are hitting on the streets, not just on paper in the polls. Do you think it is a possibility that the SNP will have the majority of Scottish seats in this election?
Well, all I'm saying to you, Jim, is exactly...
Come on, you're a straight talker. Answer the question.
No, it's absolutely possible, and that exactly is what the polls are telling us that could happen. And as I've
a majority of Scottish seats. Because that, you know, you've talked about the advantages of a minority government rather than one that's sustained by deals, whether they're formal or informal. And you appear to say that if David Cameron didn't have a majority on his own for the Conservatives, if he had more seats than Labour, he should try to govern as a minority government. Why?
Well, I think the right thing to do in 2010 was to form a stable coalition, because we're at a time of national crisis. I mean, we were staring down absolutely the barrel of the gun. We had the largest structural deficit of any major country anywhere in the world. We were absolutely on the brink. And I have to say, fair play to the Liberal Democrats for stepping up, because they knew that it might not be in their party interest, but they did what was in the national interest. And I think some Liberal Democrats, like Danny Alexander, for example, working with George Osborne in Treasury, did very, very well, and I'm thankful to them for that. But, you know, we've come a really long way in 5 years. We have started to turn the economy around. We're only kind of halfway there, but I think, you know, we're asking people to let us finish the job. And we've seen in Scotland that minority government can work. And I think that, you know, as a Conservative...
You're talking about the SNP after 2007?
Yeah, I am. But I mean, this...
And that's the model for David Cameron?
Well, I just don't think that this should be a surprise for your listeners, Jim. You know, I'm not just the leader of the Conservative Party in Scotland, I'm also a Conservative voter. And, you know, I would quite like to see Conservatives holding ministerial position, doing Conservative things in government. And at the moment, because of the coalition, and again, I pay tribute to the Liberal Democrat colleagues, because of the coalition, you know, a third of all ministerial ships are held by people other than Conservatives.
So you would prefer no deals, even if there is not a majority Conservative government, you would prefer no deals, live day to day, it's better from a Conservative point of view?
It very much depends on the numbers, but I think probably, on balance, would that be my preference? If the numbers work, then yes, probably it would.
Ruth Davidson, leader of the Scottish Conservatives. Thanks very much.
The time is 14 minutes past 7. If you suffer from lower back pain or have osteoarthritis, don't bother with paracetamol. That is the essence of a study published in the British Medical Journal. 13 separate trials and concluded that patients would be better off taking exercise instead. Paracetamol is prescribed on the NHS for both conditions. Professor Philip Conahan from Leeds University was involved in writing the clinical guidelines on osteoarthritis in 2008 and 2014 for the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, NICE. He joins us now from Salford. Good morning.
Good morning.
What do you think of this study?
I think sadly it's not very surprising. I think we've seen signals for some time that paracetamol wasn't as effective as we thought, and that's partly due to new information, but also partly to the way we examine the current information and the level of efficacy. So it's not just good enough to be statistically better in reducing pain, it's got to reduce pain at a level that people will find meaningful, and that's the data that's changing our perspectives on paracetamol.
And yet the NHS at the moment spends something like £80 million a year prescribing paracetamol for things like this.
I don't underestimate the huge need for pain, especially chronic pain that's out there in the community. A lot of people can't take NSAIDs or opioids, which are our other two standard painkillers. And for a lot of people, especially those over 65, 70, they're not appropriate.
But
So
the point I'm making is if this is known about, well, not just the lack of effectiveness with paracetamol for these conditions, but the other point that this report makes is that it does also increase toxicity in the liver and the risk of liver problems. If that is known, then why haven't the guidelines been reviewed already?
the guidelines were reviewed. In fact, the guideline that came out in 2014 is a partial update just because of this sort of information, so we're aware of this. And MHRA, the other government regulatory authority, are looking at all the over-the-counter medications at present, and once they finish that review, NICE will review its current position on this.
But it is still at the moment a recommended treatment. And what does that lead you to conclude? The process of catching up with science is not fast enough?
I think it leads me to conclude that there is a huge unmet need for pain and to do that. To take away the one thing they've got is a massive problem that may lead to overuse of drugs that are more toxic and more harmful. So there's a real fine balance here of trying to let people understand that the most effective things are things such as muscle strengthening, keeping active and losing weight if overweight. And those things are lifestyle changes that take some time. So we've really got to change our perspective from chronic musculoskeletal pain to one of lifestyle change, not really drug related.
Thank you very much.
So, 18 minutes past 7 and the battle to battle the loyalty of the business community has intensified in the election campaign today. Simon Jack can bring us more. Simon.
Thanks, Jim. 100 leaders of some of Britain's top companies have publicly endorsed the Conservative Party and business policies in an open letter published in this morning's Daily Telegraph. In particular, it says the steady decline in corporation tax over the Parliament from 28 to 20% has been helpful, and any change in direction would be distinctly unhelpful. Lord Stuart Rose is the former Marks and Spencer's chief executive. He's a Conservative peer and a signatory to that letter. Good morning. Let's start with corporation tax. Good progress has been made there. It's now one of the most competitive anywhere in Europe. Isn't it true that most small businesses would now prefer a cut in business rates than another penny off corporation tax? Without a cut in rates, many of them would have a property tax at all.
Well, I don't think it's a matter of either or. I mean, first and foremost is I think what we have got at the moment is an extremely competitive environment. And creating the right environment that gives business the confidence to invest, to allow us to thrive and flourish, as we have begun to do now, is important. I think the letter today only underlines that. Look at the large number of people who signed it, the diverse backgrounds that they come from, the small businesses, medium-sized businesses, large businesses. That must say something.
But a cut in business rates, if you can't afford that without doing it somewhere else, wouldn't a cut in business rates be better for your business? That's what I hear when I speak to small businesses.
The businesses always want something, they always need something. The good news at the moment is that we have got a flourishing environment. We have got record numbers of startups. I'm involved in quite a number of small business startups myself. And businesses are actually reasonably happy at the moment because they know that the environment in which they're trying to invest in, trying to expand into and trying to drive their business into is conducive to allowing them to do that. Clearly, they would always want something else, but it's a question of choices that we have to make.
Businesses often give us warnings. Before the last election, many business leaders, yourself included, said Alistair Darling's plan to reduce the deficit would be a disaster. What in fact happened is the Tories returned exactly the same, even a bit worse than the projected Labour plan on the deficit, and yet on markets didn't go into meltdown. It wasn't a disaster. Why should we accept the warnings now?
Well, listen, I mean, I only say one thing. At the moment that we have made great progress, the government inherited a pretty difficult situation 5 years ago. It's worked very hard to make sure things are moving in the right direction. There is a lot more work to be done. We know there are some difficult choices to be made for business and for the community in general going forward. And what we have to do is to make sure that we keep that work going. What happened 5 years ago is never always easy to predict what's going to happen in the future because, of course, other circumstances come into play.
There are some things wrong with our structure of our workforce, though, our labour market. Zero hours contracts, for example. I just want to play you a quick clip. Here's Ed Miliband talking to BBC Breakfast on this subject.
There's an issue about the number of hours, but there's the issue of the unpredictability of the hours. That's the insecurity that people are facing. Imagine you're on, if we didn't know from 1 week to the next how many hours we were going to be getting, how much we'd be getting paid. We wouldn't think that was security for ourselves or our family. If it's not good enough for us, I don't think it should be good enough for the people of Britain, and that's why I'm going to make this change.
Do you accept that zero hours contracts are being abused by some employers?
I don't accept that at all. I mean, it's a good ambition, of course, over time to reduce the number of zero-hours contracts, but the most important thing is the creation of secure jobs. And we have seen the creation of something like 1.5 million jobs.
But we've seen a tripling in the number of zero-hours contracts, and that's taking the definition of flexibility of the labour market too far, isn't it? It's not being anti-business, it's just being decent to employees.
Being decent to employees is extremely important. I think the total number of zero-hours contracts in the employment workforce is something like 2%. Clearly, everybody would want to get that down. The most important thing first is create more secure jobs. If you create more secure jobs, you will allow over time for us to reduce the number of zero-hours contracts around. But I mean, I seem to remember 10 years ago, Tony Blair suggested that they would reduce zero-hours contracts. 10 years later, we're all trying. It's a bold ambition, but you can't do it by legislation.
Just a quick note on the tone of this. It's gone quite personal, quite nasty, quite early. For example, we had the Stefano Pessina attacking